If you have ever looked at your partner and thought, I can't do this anymore, you're not alone. I've been there more times than I can count. In fact, I've asked my husband to leave over a dozen times, and yet he's still here. Not because we have some perfect, effortless marriage, not because we've never struggled, but because we've learned that real love isn't about never wanting to walk away. It's about choosing to stay and fight for something deeper. Today, I want to talk about the raw, unfiltered side of marriage, the fights, the doubts, the moments where giving up felt easier, but we didn't. And more importantly, the secret that's helped us not just stay together, but grow stronger through it all. Because an intentional marriage isn't about avoiding struggle, it's about knowing how to navigate it. So let's dive in.
We are nomads with a purpose, a family of 7 that hit the road back in 2015 to chase epic climbs, trails, powder, waves, and bucket list destinations. 10 years later, we're still living the dream. From adventure travel guides to unschooling, RV life, self-development, and family connection, we're here to inspire you to live boldly and defy the norm.
Hello, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk about something that is very dear to my heart, but that was a little bit hard for me to share with you, but I do believe it's really important, hence why I'm doing it. Today I want to talk about why I was ready to walk away from a 30-year marriage, and most importantly, here's why I'm not. So earlier this week, the last video I uploaded to YouTube was a video about how to improve the relationship with your child and teen. And in it, I explained how important it is for you to heal your own wounds in order to have the relationship that you want with your child and teen. I feel extremely confident in my system in raising my kids and parenting. And you're going to hear me talk later about my confidence in what it takes to be individually healed and healthy myself. But what I'm going to talk about today is a totally different thing, because a relationship takes two people and a lot of things are out of your control. And hopefully the take home is a understanding of what exactly you have to do for yourself, the only person you can control, in order to change that. And earlier this week, Gabby also uploaded a video about that it's time to reconsider the American dream, that the American dream really is over, and we need to rethink how we're raising our families, how we're approaching life. You know, this outdated playbook of go to school, get a good job, retire, isn't working. It's not serving anybody. And so we're really hoping that between the videos I'm creating and Gabby's creating and the rest of our family is going to start working on, is going to help redefine what it means to be a family in the future and really reconnect on a much, much deeper, more emotionally available and spiritual level. The big thing with today is like I mentioned, we can talk about self. We can be our most empowered, confident, healthy, vibrant, focused self. And I can talk to you about how to have this amazing relationship with your kids. But we can't bridge the two without talking about marriage, because marriage plays such a role in our own sense of self and how we handle what we feel about ourselves, the passion that we go towards in our lives, and it impacts our kids so much. So I'm hoping today that the insight I give you will help make that bridge stronger for you. So there's a picture on the left of Victor and I going to my high school prom. We started dating when I was 17, okay? We would be what I would say, at the time, I would have said we were soulmates, okay? This concept of codependency was not in my head. I was not thinking, I didn't even know that there was a word called codependency. I was just so in love. And the reason I was so in love has a lot to do with what I talked about in my last video about how to really connect with your kids. I did not feel seen and heard. Victor came into my life and I was the most important person in his world. And so of course my ego loved it. Oh my goodness, I'm being doted over. He'll do anything and everything for me. It was great. Well, at the start of that, the only thing I really wanted after getting lots of attention was my own family that I could raise in the way that I wanted to. And my husband was great. He said, "Sure, dear, this is amazing." Now, in the middle of, if you know our story, you'll know it with watching our YouTube channel. That back in 2012, I personally had a huge self transformation. I really reinvented myself a lot, or between 2010 and 2012. In 2015, I asked Victor if we could live in our RV for 5 months to save some money and have some more adventures that coincided with my self growth journey. 5 months has turned into 10 years. We're still full time RV travelers. And most importantly, we full time travel in search of adventure. Well, this is a picture from 2015, the middle picture of Victor when we were camping. And I've saved this picture because it embodies about how much happiness he had for the lifestyle we chose at the time. But the thing is that I wasn't the only person who entered this marriage from a state of codependency. I too was Victor's everything. He just wanted me to love him and dote on him and be around all the time and take care of everything. And he was happy with that relationship that we had for the first, say, 12 to 15 years. All of a sudden, we started traveling and I disrupted his paradigm. I was, as he would say, more in love with mountains than in love with him. I just wanted to go climb rock walls and hike up to the top of a mountain. Adventure was so exciting to me that he was kind of pissed off. And over the next 10 years, we've had all sorts of dynamics happening around that we're definitely going to share with you over time on this channel. Well, the picture on the right is us a couple months ago after his ayahuasca retreat. And he finally learned how to indoor rock climb on lead, which was a big deal. He had so much fear surrounding rock climbing that there was no way he was ever going to take the lead test. Well, what happened was that made it so that we didn't have that much in common, especially about rock climbing. You know, we could go lift weights together. He kind of liked hiking, but it wasn't something that our whole family could go do, or he was left out of it. The kids and I would go indoor rock climb. He would top rope some, boulder a little bit, but it was really limiting our relationship. And so after ayahuasca, he felt like, man, I don't feel as much fear. Let's do this. And so that was a picture after he took his lead test, and I was really excited. And that has been one thing of many things that we have had to work on, evolve, grow together in finding new common ground, like I'm going to talk about in this video. Here's the problem. There's a lot of nuances and complexities to this, but overall, Victor and I grew up in totally different sides of the train tracks. We are so different that many times since 2010, I just kept thinking to myself, this is impossible. And overall, my complaint when I come to him is that I am tired of driving you through life. You're just a water skier back there holding on. Granted, sometimes you do pretty good, you know, like sometimes you're not swallowing water and sometimes you even like get to relax your hands and shake out. But regardless, overall, I just feel like I'm driving the boat and I'm towing you behind me. And it's great that you're not complaining anymore, but I'm still towing you. And the reason it feels like that is because we have totally different vision and goals, totally different ideas around just even having a vision or goals. We have much different values and beliefs, especially surrounding what a good life is. We have totally different money mindset and worthiness values. We have totally different discipline habits and tasks that we do. We have very good, I would say. This is actually what has kept us together the most. We have a lot of agreement on feminine and masculine roles. However, we have very opposite traditional feminine and masculine energies. We have different attitudes. We have different beliefs around what attitudes are acceptable and not acceptable. We have totally different capacity and capabilities. Like when I really think about it and I try to put it on paper, it is amazing that we've made it 30 years, but it also goes to show how important it is to, in a good marriage, to not be the same, to be the yin to the other person's yang, and vice versa. And that opposites do attract for a reason. So in the last, I would say, especially in the last couple months, probably 6 months, we've really, really worked hard to go from blame to reestablishing trust. For a very long time, longer than I want to admit, probably why I abandoned this channel for so long, it kind of just felt like the blame game. I don't know if you grew up listening to the Berenstain Bears, but I raised the kids reading those books, and I just distinctly look at this picture and think of the Blame Game book of the Berenstain Bears. And just like this constant where I would tell Victor, you need to this and you need to that. And he would look back at me and say, and most of our fighting has always been surrounding finances and career, because we've been entrepreneurs forever. When we first started dating, I said, I was teaching gymnastics. Gosh, I don't want to go too long in a tangent, but I started being an entrepreneur at 19. And Victor would watch me be an entrepreneur. So at 20, I said, well, you're just always here watching me. Why don't you at least help me and work with me? And so we opened a gymnastics facility when I was 20, he was 21. And we ran it until 2017, when we decided to try to jump into full-time travel. And again, I said, gosh, you're already a personal trainer for a brick and mortar. Why don't you just do it online? It'll be so easy. Well, it was everything but easy. And pretty much trying to learn how to be an online trainer was about as easy as it is to learn Chinese, at least for Victor. He doesn't speak Chinese either. It was so, it has been such a struggle for us and caused so much fighting. But the problem was, as I'm going to explain, that a lot of it is that I was the problem. I probably could have been great at being an online trainer or been an entrepreneur, but all I wanted was to be a mom. And in getting to live my dream, I'm very grateful. But it's caused this other problem that I ended up just being playing the blame can't speak today, playing the blame game for. And so while I would sit back and say, well, to be an online trainer, you just need to do this and create this kind of content and have this type of funnel and it's just so simple. He would turn around to me and say, but you haven't done it. You don't have this. Why should I listen to you? To which I'd be like, because I just want to be a mom. And it was all great up until it wasn't great. And that was probably in the last year or so. And I would catch myself just engaging. I loved the conflict. I would defend and I'd say, it's because you're this and you're that and you have no this and you're always this. And you can imagine, it got us nowhere. And so I was listening to the let them theory a couple weeks ago, I don't know, a month ago, and it hit me. So hand to forehead, right? She says there's 3 problems when you try to fix people. Number 1, motivation to change has to come from within. Pushing people to change just makes them push back. And I've hit my hand on my forehead because I'm like, of course. I thought it was just because of his gene keys. I thought it was just because of his Enneagram. I thought it was just because of all these things. And she's like, says it over and over. Mel Robbins says, like, everybody follows these 3 things. Everybody, when you push them, they're just going to want to push back. Number 2, that we are all wired to move away from what feels hard in the moment towards what is easy. And I was thinking all this time, no, it's just my husband's programming. It's just his childhood beliefs. It's just this, it's just that. And you know what really made me notice it was how hard it was and is for me to give up my 1 beer a day. It's easy to crack it open. It's much harder to reach for kombucha and go meditate instead. And the 3rd one was that everybody thinks they're the exception, including myself. I was laughing listening to it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I'm different. I'm different. And I was thinking, oh, he's thinking he's different. I'm like, oh man, we're all doing this. And I caught myself and I'm like, let me just step into what I've been saying that I can do for all these years and face the hard realities. I had to get brutally honest with myself and look into what I was really afraid of, which was my programming that we can touch upon a little bit, but I'm not going to go too far into it. I know what I was afraid of. I was afraid for so many years of missing out on 1 minute of my kids' childhood. It's only probably because they're at the age that they are that I can step away and do a little bit more of what I've been telling my husband to do. It's like I was looking in the mirror going, every single thing that I said, film that video, make that Instagram post, create that funnel, check, check, and check. I had to start doing myself, and I am doing it. Showing up here, got my email opt-ins for you ready so that I can help you be the change. And it's at the root of it, Victor and I both have really good intentions. We want to support our family and we want to change how people treat themselves, how they treat each other. I mean, I know it sounds grandiose that I go, I just want to change the world. I want to provide people the opportunity to feel empowered. There's a good chance I can't change the world, but I can make a difference in your life, and your life can make a difference in your child's life, and that can have a trickle effect. And so after that, I had to step into heart coherence and vision, two things that I actually feel like I'm very good at doing. And when I stepped into heart coherence and vision, and I closed my eyes and I meditated, I asked myself, what did I want my life to look like in 10 years from now? And this became my North Star. I know that 10 years from now, I want my kids to have grandkids and that they come to one house to see their grandparents. I want them to not have to split Christmas between Victor and maybe his new wife and me and my new husband. I didn't want that. I want them to come to our home. And I want our home to be our dream home. I've loved RV travel for 10 years. I love adventure travel. But 10 years from now, I'm going to have this amazing retreat property that has pretty much like a hotel on it so that I can run retreats and that all my kids with their grandkids can come to it. And it's going to be amazing. And I want that. And I want Victor and I to finally take our dream Tahiti vacation that we said we were going to take on our 15-year anniversary, but we never took it because we were too busy dedicating our time to our kids. And if I tapped into gratitude just enough for the tears to always come up, I could just say the word gratitude. And I know exactly what that heart coherence feels like because I have mastered that one skill. It's one of my best talents. I know how to get into how I want something to feel and to remember how something felt. And I'm so grateful. Yeah, Victor complained some of the time. He didn't complain every time. There were many times that we traveled and he was happy. And we did amazing things together. These were just 3 quick pictures of it. But like we have done what I don't know hardly anybody. I don't even know if I know anybody who's done what we have done in the last 10 years. The places we've been to, the mountains we've literally climbed, the places like the stars we've camped underneath. Like we have accomplished so much. I know we're not done though. I know there's more. So I had to ask myself, is it possible that I too am still playing out a childhood wound? I love these pictures because I could tell you my inner child feels like this often. That little baby on the left, like holding her hands up, is me all the time. Like, Victor, love me. Victor, why aren't you hugging me? That 10-year-old pouting is so me still sometimes. It's sitting there going like, I'm so mad that you're like this. Why don't you get it? Why do you not know how to make an email funnel? I don't understand. And that's me crying many times like, you're never going to be what I want you to be. But that's my childhood wound. Okay. And I had to ask myself, if I was going to be the hero of my story, would this be my highest self? Of course not. Now, luckily, I have a cheat sheet of how I recenter myself when my emotions come out. I pick up the Enneagram book by Beatrice Chestnut, And I open to Enneagram 8 and I look at the Enneagram 8 in growth, and I go through the checklist and I go, am I fighting authority? Am I using compassion? Am I being the growth of a 2 and a 5? I mean, just me doing this right now, creating slides, because I could show up before on YouTube and just ramble, but I need these slides to keep me on track so that my rambling doesn't become 2 hours. This was like silly thing to create slides, but that's part of my highest growth, is to be more organized and disciplined in how I'm asserting myself as an 8, as a leader. Okay. My gene keys. I seriously, like, I'll have to turn them on and I listen and I just fast forward to the gift. I already know what the shadow's like. I feel like most of the time I move past it, but every so often when that temper tantrum wants to come out, I go, oh, I fall back in that shadow. So I go back and listen to the gift. And I remind myself that, oh, one of my gifts is to mother the world, but I'm no good if I haven't filled my own tank. Okay. Then I go and look at this book called the Book of Destinies. It's like a human design, by human design authors. And I just read through, it's a 1 page, but I read through it and I go, okay, yeah, my provocative nature is going to upset some people. But there's a lot of people out there who want me to challenge them, who want me to help them grow, who want me to nudge them out of that cage and say, it's okay to fly. And then I go to The Life You Were Born to Live, the numerology book by Dan Millman, and I go, what does it mean to be a 36-9? And I go, yes, that's self-doubt. It's just self-doubt. Like, go forward, share your story, share your wisdom. And then I open my natal chart and I look at my astrology and I go, oh yeah, I have all these planets in my 12th house that sometimes make it hard for me to take things out of the subconscious and into the conscious mind and speak them, especially my Mercury. So here I am, overcoming highest self. And I ask myself, how can I use my gifts, talents, and story to live up to my potential? Where am I letting self-doubt or fear control my actions? And then I create a plan. Look, I had plenty of excuses. Number one is that it bothers me that I'm getting older, that I'm more wrinkled, that I am not as lean as I used to be. I have this story that nobody cares what I think. I have this story that nobody believes me. Nobody trusts me. It's just so much work to have to explain myself. My video is going to be too long because I'm having to connect all these dots. Everybody likes Victor more. Nobody likes me. I'm only looked up to if I'm perfect, and I'm not perfect. If I share with this video with you guys, you're not going to think that I'm perfect. You're not going to think I have the perfect life, the perfect marriage. And the worst one I think that comes up is I have this I deserve card sometimes. I used to play this one like, I deserve to have this perfect marriage. I deserve to have this wealth and abundance. And I catch it and I go, I don't deserve any of it. You have to work for it. Everybody has to work for it. So I show up and I go, time to work for it. And so I ask myself, what is truth? And when I think about this term of what is truth, to me, what this meant was the Ikigai of the Ikigai book, the 4 circles that overlap and go what are you passionate about? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what will people pay for? And I go, the coaching, coaching. What am I passionate about? I am so passionate about adventure. I love adventure, but I'm passionate about something even more than that. I'm passionate about health. Health is everything to me. Without health, you have nothing. And I go, wait, I'm passionate about something more. I'm passionate about raising a family. But even more than raising kids, I'm way more passionate about marriage. I believe marriage is so important. And the truth is, I keep hearing all these people are getting divorced. People that I know really close to me are getting divorced. And I think to myself, oh my gosh, I could have fixed that. I saw this humming and I didn't say anything because I was scared of everything on the slide before. Nobody likes me. Nobody cares what they think. I'm old. I'm fat. All of those excuses are why these people are getting divorced. And the worst part is I've been calling my husband on these things because he doesn't speak up to how to make people healthy. And he knows people who are dying. And I'm like, man, that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow, to think that he could have saved people's life and I could have saved people's marriage. And we don't because of all of those things, as Vishen from Mind Valley calls them, the rules, the bullshit rules. Like we have all these things that are playing in our head, and it's so hard to overcome them. And the truth is that I do value family. I think a lot of people out there do too. It might seem like people don't, but I think overall people want to believe in family again. And everyone, myself, you listening, everybody is damaged, traumatized, or has baggage. So nobody's perfect. We're all interconnected. We all play a role in each other's life. And somebody has to step up and be the change. And I truly do believe that the quantum field exists. I truly do believe that our thoughts create our reality, and that all those thoughts that were on that previous page were what was getting in my way of changing my reality, of letting me play small. And that in the end, my driving force is always, am I being who I want my kids to be? I don't really want them to show up in life as small as I was playing. So I had to let me be me. And in doing so, I created a marriage course. And so I'm just going to go through a couple little quick slides. It'll give you some things to work on. It'll help you understand what it means or what you have to do in order to improve your marriage. And the number one thing is that it really does start with you have to address your own core wounds, your core beliefs. Like for me, I'm a realist idealist. My husband, he's a sentinel. Causes our number one communication problem is that our Myers-Briggs are different. They're actually the complete opposite. Me as an NJ and him as an SJ means that our four dominant cognitive functions are completely opposite, which is going to cause a huge roadblock when we want to sit down and talk or how we process the world. On top of that, we have totally different unmet needs, which means our core desires are totally different. His core desire is he must be helpful. My core desire is I must be strong. That causes a huge problem for us. But with understanding it, it also creates a huge solution. I said that we grew up on totally different sides of the train tracks. He was lucky. Like his mom would say, like, we only have 4 quarters. Like, hey, I need you to have less wants. Me, I was growing up with like, when you don't want something, including that relationship isn't providing you what you want, walk away. You go get whatever you want. He had things like a good boy does what he's told. He doesn't ask for things. I was like told, look out for yourself first, fight for what you want in life. Totally different mindsets. After lesson 1, we get into lesson 2, communication. So one of the gifts I feel like I have is that through experience, through having a lot of children, through traveling the world, I've balanced my throat chakra. So while I did say that before I was fight for what you want, I've learned that you catch more bees with honey, right? And that while I am very assertive, I've also learned how to be extremely compassionate and understanding in my communication. So in my communication part of the course, I get into a lot of details of the ask. How you formulate your questions to make requests makes all the difference. So compassion is important, self-compassion especially, but being able to figure out what is it exactly that you want. Because if you just react and blow up at your spouse, you're not going to get the response you want. They're not going to, right? You push, they're just going to push back. So if you can pause when you're upset and pull back for a second and ask yourself, what do I really want out of this? What is the pain that I'm really fighting for, right? Where is the ego defense in this situation? Because it's never about the dishwasher or cleaning the counters or picking the kids up or like, it's never about the things that we're nagging about. It's about something much deeper. There is an expectation or a need not met. Whether you should get that need met from your spouse, that's a different part of the course. But being able to just start the communication from the right framework is super important. And I walk you through that in the course. I explain how to make the right ask and to find where it's coming from. Okay, then lesson 3 is all about your shadow work and chakra healing. And the simplest way to look at that, I'm not going to go into all the chakras right now, is this generational self-worth crisis. Look, in this picture, you've got a son down there. Let's do Terry on the bottom, right? He has certain things certain needs that he wants, and he's hoping to get them from his mom, Tina, and his dad, Brad. But the problem is that Tina has these core wounds that she's still trying to get from her mom and her dad, and maybe they died, unfortunately, and she's not even getting to get those fulfilled. And now she's asking Brad, her husband, to fulfill those. So she can't even show up for Terry, her son, and meet his needs because she hasn't healed her own. You see how this is all connected? And why it's so important for us to figure out what is this wound that is making us feel unworthy, heal it ourselves, so that we can stop asking our spouse to heal it, so we can actually show up for our kids and meet their need so that they stop the generational self-worth crisis. It all makes sense. And when we can heal our sacral chakra, which is that's that generational self-worth crisis, then we can heal our heart chakra. And then we can use our throat chakra in balance to communicate to our spouse what it is that we really need. But that heart chakra sometimes is hard to heal because we have these, one, because of not feeling worthy. But between the heart and the sacral chakra is our solar plexus chakra. And our solar plexus chakra is where we step into the world with bravery and confidence and do the hard things, like climb that mountain or, go down a double black diamond ski run or paddle into bigger surf or show up on YouTube and expose our weaknesses in hopes that we can help others. So they're all interconnected. We can't isolate them. One fuels the other, or one heals the other, one empowers the other. They're all connected, and that's what I do in lesson 3. Lesson 4 is really what it's all about. It's about the fact that you probably came to a marriage from a wounded state. Whether you thought it was your soulmate or you actively were like, I just want to be codependent and I'm okay with that. At some point, one person in the marriage grows and evolves. This is what I'm seeing in all the couples I work with. One person, I don't want to box it in that it's always the wife that grows, but there does seem to be a tendency that the wife, might be like me and feel like, I just want to be a mom. I want to be a mom, until all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, who am I besides being a mom? And I can't, or your kids grow up and you feel like, okay, now what? And your spouse is still like trying to keep their head above water because it's hard to be a husband in this day and age. That's why this is tied into Gabby's presentation. The American dream is not the American dream anymore. Inflation has just completely destroyed the dollar. And now we can't just go to work and do a good job and it be enough to buy the house, the car, the vacations. It doesn't work like that anymore. And so we have to renegotiate our contract. We have to come to our spouse. And this is why if you do lesson 2, the communication, I teach you how to make the ask. I teach you how to organize your thoughts and to look at it, basically like a life book, where we're looking at our life from all 12 areas and coming together and saying, what is a good life and where are we going to be self-responsible and stop blaming each other? So, like I was just saying, you have to look at all areas. You look at your lifestyle, your travel, your health, your fitness, your mindfulness, future oriented. Look at your kids' schedules. Like, number one thing, I'd be like, I think I talked about this in the last video I did, was like, pause, like pull out of every single sport and activity until you get your marriage right, because all of those burdens are taking a toll on your relationship. The number one reason that Victor and I can save this marriage and actually rebuild it to be really amazing and passionate and become leaders on a stage of what it takes to make a marriage happy and thriving and loving is because we are time rich. Number one reason that we will be able to figure this out is we are time rich. We get to like practice self-care. We get to go out and get in nature and feel grounded. We get to make healthy food. We don't eat out. Like all of those things stack to make a huge difference. So you're going to have to dream in all areas, and then you have to come together and make the offer. This is pivotal. Like people can't do this, but we have to make the offer. And it's literally like you're reproposing to your spouse. Okay, so the best starting point for you is this. The relationship course builds off of this. So we have two different things. We have a relationship course, which is great, but you might need to start with the path to self-mastery. You really ideally want to do them together. They're pretty simple. Path to self-mastery would takes you about 4 weeks. We offer it just independently. You can do it on your own, or you can do it with Gabby and myself. The marriage course too, independently, you can get it done pretty much. You could sit and do it in one day because it's 4 lessons, and then sandwich it with the path to self-mastery. A month from now, totally different reality, totally healed, new reality. Okay. This is though what we're talking about, what this reality, this is your measure. And in my last video, I had a pie chart like this about raising your kids. This is your personal pie chart. This is yours to heal. You have to understand, this is what we take you through in coaching and in the 2 courses. You can do it on your own. And this is what the integration should look like. Nurture versus nature. Do you know how your Enneagram, astrology, Myers-Briggs, Gene Keys, human design, how they're playing out, how the childhood beliefs combined with your soul's tendency are creating this avatar for you? You have to understand this avatar. Are you clear in your expectations and vision? In the path to self-mastery, I took my favorite book. It's called Happier by Tal Ben-Shahar. I took that book, broke it down for you in lessons, and said, you need to go through this to recognize I'd say not most, but a lot of people are just rat racers. You're putting off your happiness to the future. Or you've become nihilistic and you believe that there is no good future. And I think that's what happens as a married couple. You start off both like rat race. And then it just gets to be so much pressure that a lot of times one spouse just defaults to nihilism. And nihilism would look like, there's no hope today. There's no hope in the future. I'm just going to sit there and binge scroll. I'm going to turn on the TV. What does it matter? The win in some ways is if you both are hedonistic at first, where it's like, hey, the future looks a little bit overwhelming, but like, let's just go have fun today. Let's enjoy today. Let's go get a drink. Let's go do that. Let's go skiing. Let's just make today amazing. And it's true. In some ways, that is the win to start with. And then happiness is where you can find joy in today and a future, making a future that seems exciting to you too. Metacognition is a massive turning point. Metacognition is your ability to hover outside yourself and observe your thoughts while you're in action, not just in meditation, but it's like a walking meditation. You can see yourself as if you're a director of your own film. So that self-awareness mixed in with being growth oriented, to see yourself and go, how could I be better in this moment? How can I pause? How can I not react? How can I respond? Okay, those are really important things. All right. You look at your stress, your values, and your habits. All of those combined give you it's basically what your week looks like. If your week is really busy, it's because you value the external. You value that recognition. You value that status. You have become tolerant of stress. You just have decided to make it a habit to stay stressed. And so sometimes you have to shift that. your communication style. Are you conflict avoidant or are you confrontational? If you're conflict avoidant, you're probably going to get stuck in the same pattern over and over because you believe that aggression is bad, or sorry, that in order to have conflict, that leads to aggression, or that leads to a bad, you saw it maybe in your childhood that your parents were fighting and that was bad. Therefore, you're avoiding having hard conversations and it's keeping you stuck. You have to figure out a way, which a lot of healing that heart, sacral, throat chakra conflict would change, which really comes back down to that stress, values, and habits that you need to redefine. What you need to get your head above water so that you're out of the fight or flight system of your body and shifting into your parasympathetic system. I've been talking too long today. And then too many coaching calls before this. Okay. And then that last one is just being empowered. I really think that for a lot of people is their starting point, that you need to feel confident, capable, and worthy. So ask yourself, I'm wrapping this up right now. Ask yourself, what would it take for me to be empowered? What would it take for me to be confident, to be capable, to be worthy, to feel worthy? For most people, you have to step into the unknown. You have to go do something outside your comfort zone, something outside the box, because where you're standing, the perspective at which you're looking out at life is a specific neural pathway that is on repeat. So until you change that, until you see the world from a different perspective, you can't rewire your brain. It's really that simple. That what happens is people, like, you're going to do a course, you take a course, you get more information. You look up a YouTube video, you get more information. Okay. Information is not the problem. Implementation is the problem. You can't implement things without doing things differently, doing things new in a new petri dish, basically. You need to be in contact with different environments, different exposure, different people, different mindsets. If you're not, so how could you do that? You could do that by signing up for a retreat. You can do a retreat with us. You can go sign up for a retreat there's hundreds of different retreats you could go do that take you outside your comfort zone. You could just choose to do a different family vacation this year. Don't do a place that is known. Don't go to a place where you're just getting indulgences. Don't go somewhere where you're just looking to sit by a pool, have a pina colada, and rest. Go somewhere that takes you outside your comfort zone. That's going to make you flex new muscles. Yeah, there's a chance it's going to be hard. There's a chance your kids are going to have to get gritty. That's a good thing. Okay. You could go to a conference. Go to a conference that takes you outside your comfort zone. Go to an Abraham Hicks conference. Go to a Joe Dispenza conference. Go to a Brendan Burchard, Lewis Howes. Go to any of those. The problem is that a lot of those still keep you sitting in the audience, absorbing more information, not doing. Now, if you're going to go to an Abraham Hicks one and you're going to put yourself in the hot seat, great. That's a little bit outside your comfort zone. Be a little outside my comfort zone. We think about doing it all the time. We talk about it. I go, oh, what question would I ask? Makes me a little nervous. That's good. If it makes you a little nervous, that's good. Short term, how could you feel more confident, capable, worthy, and empowered? You could have that hard conversation with somebody that you need to have. Okay. But you might need to go through those courses first to organize your thoughts and understand how your wounds are playing out before you just call somebody up and let them have it, or tell your spouse, hey, we need to talk, and you just yell at them. There's lots of ways to do it. Okay. The most important thing is that you just do something. Take action. When you close this video, take one small action today so that you don't wake up tomorrow in the exact same rinse, repeat pattern that you've been in forever. Do you know most people reach the age of 35 and never change? They become the same person at 45, 55, 65, 75, 85. You don't want to be that. Be brave, be bold, change your life.